Mediterranean Sea stands an island of Malta, GC. All my days I will sing in praise of your forest waters, your shining sun.
A true blue romantic, the last of his breed, Marquis Juan Scicluna, the Baron of Tabria. This is his self-portrait.
Island, island in the sun, given to me by my father's hand. All my days I will sing in praise of your forest waters, your shining sand. Ali. I am the Marquis Scicluna, the fourth Marquis Scicluna, and this is where I work. We're in the village of Naxxar, and this is called Parisio Palace, built in 1733 by Emanuele de Villena, a Portuguese knight. In fact, he commanded the island, the Grand Master. And my grandfathers bought this place, just came from Holland to knight various people, and here I am in front of your camera.
In 1898, Marquis Giuseppe Scicluna became the sole owner of a handsome estate in the village of Naxxar, where he proceeded to build Parisio Palace. The palace was finished in 1904. Architecture is by a renowned Italian contemporary. The thick aura of Baroque and Rococo is complemented by myriads of paintings that celebrate mythological themes and elaborate courtly and allegorical cycles. The resplendent ivory whites, light pastels, golds and gilded mirrors, typical of the wealthy Rococo, are commonplace household trappings at the Marquis' residence. The Marquis' charisma lends his majestic surroundings an air of informality, a sense of déjà vu.
Here we are on the first floor of Parisio Palace. Now we're entering the Rococo room. It's a gilded room, beautiful furniture, mosaic flooring, and beautiful little angels sculptured on the ceiling, because it was the romantic period of France, Louis XV and XIV period. And in that period they were extremely, I would say, the last of the romantics, over ornate decor. And gradually we're coming in to my grandfather's study. He was a banker, a merchant banker, shipping, which involved a lot of law, maritime law, books, and so forth. The roof here is very beautiful. It's all very ornate, very Victorian. And this leads into the nuptial room where my grandfather slept. In fact, as we come into the room, the roofs are very beautiful with a religious motive, because they were very Catholic in those days. And the roof is particularly beautiful. It's all stucco work, you see, made by Italian artists 200 years ago. The walls are damask, all hand-painted, which are exquisitely done because they have a sheen on them. A lovely sheen, a gradation of color, you see, light and shade. The furniture is what they call stile Lombardia, from Lombardy, because all the bankers came from Lombardy in Italy. And adjacent to this room was my father's private quarters when he was a young lad. On my father's side were bankers, financiers. And they came to Malta by fate, you could say, because Garibaldi had the Risorgimento in those days in Italy, And he boxed the Pope inside the Vatican. And my grandfather had about 8 ships, and he ran guns for the Pope. And he also financed the Vatican. He was a very rich fellow. But as Garibaldi won, he had to get out of town fast, and he came to Malta. It was duty-free, tax-free, and he found Malta was a paradise in those days, where one could really build. And he bought this palace and another palace, Palazzo Parisio, to make his first bank. And he had a nickname, because he instituted the check system into Malta. That's why the Maltese still call him Chisk, a corruption of the word check. And that's the banking history of Malta. My mother's side came from the Knights of Malta. They were captains of galleys, admirals of the fleets of St. John. My mother's line, but my father's was all finance, and my mother's had to do a lot with fighting. That's why she told me when she was alive that I ran away from home and joined the war because my ancestors had this tremendous fighting blood in their veins, and it came out in me. Then the war finished, of course, eventually. I then flew with the American Air Force when they attacked Naples as an interpreter. Having done all that, I decided to study painting in Italy. And I studied, became an artist, and then went to Venezuela in South America. I worked in the jungles, making maps. But in those days I thought of getting married, and I had an Egyptian girlfriend. And from Caracas I flew to Cairo to meet my Egyptian lady, you see. And that didn't work out because she was too rich and too fussy. So I decided to remain a mobile unit, fast, because my general was General Montgomery. And his success was due to mobility, my lads, mobility. He used to tell us, always appear when least expected and be fast on your legs. And so I remained a bachelor. I'm still a bachelor today. I'm 63 next birthday, still batting for England. When I was born, it was 1925, as I told you before, and it was a good year for grapes and a bad year for bachelors, you see, 1925. I like girls, lovely shapes. They're a big nuisance sometimes, but they are beautiful shapes, you've got to admit that. I'm a crack shot on winged birds, and quite handy with a gun on the others, I think, the two-legged variety. But girls make up life, they're a necessary evil, I think, don't you? You can't live without them and you can't live with them. But somehow you survive, you know. That's my philosophy. It might be a bit risque, but there it is. One drum after the others. Ready? This is my island in the sun, given to me by my father's hand. All my days I was singing praise of your forest waters, your shining sun. I see woman on bended knee, cutting sugar cane for her family. I have a lot of imagination, a surrealistic imagination. I built a building called the Mystique, entirely my architecture, and today it's a very big success internationally. The Mystique is built by blitzkrieg buildings, buildings that were bombed in the Blitz. And I got pieces of stone, beautiful arches and various ornaments out of old Maltese houses that were blitzed in the war. And so, like the proverbial phoenix, I gathered all these bits and memories and I formed them into a sculpture. And that's where I want to leave this world, with my work of art. Deep in the Mediterranean Sea stands an island of Malta, GC. All my days I was singing praise of your forest water. as your shining sun. Island, island in the sun, given to me by my father's hand. All my days I will sing in praise of your forest waters, your shining sand. Ali.
The categorizers of this world think they are of service to humanity when, for the sake of sanity, it is said, they pigeonhole people. But pigeonholing the free spirits of Marquis Scicluna, Baron of Tabria, is as elusive as his dealings with reality.
And when I die, I'd like to be buried in Mystic, not in a cemetery. We have our own private chapel, you know, the cemetery. But I'd rather be buried where I built, because that's part of me.